life gets hard. I think all of us go through this from time to time. We can try to put on a happy face, but it's really only a surface level front, so people won't ask questions. Deep down, there's a desire to belong, a longing to be accepted, to be loved, to feel comfort. We've even tried to put our hope in things that the world says will bring us happiness, and help us live the life that we are told we deserve to live. But the truth is that none of these things satisfy. There have been times when I have these feelings of unsatisfied desires, and that actually turns my heart downward into a point of deep despair. Then I remember that even Job tells of those feelings when he says, "I loathe my very life. Therefore, I will give free rein to my complaint and speak out of the bitterness of my soul." There are times when I need to cry out like the psalmist in Psalm 6:3. "My soul is in deep anguish. How long, Lord? How long?" I wait for relief, yet I spiral downward into a depression. My mind is clouded with despair, and my feelings of self-worth just plummet. I try to work my way out of the pit, but the more I work, the deeper the pit seems to get. I assume just give up because I'm too tired to fight anymore. I mean, why can't I feel like other people seem to feel? They look so happy on their Facebook posts and at church services. That's what I want. That's what we all want, right? But it seems like there's just this constant dark cloud surrounding me. I feel so emotional, like I could break down at any point during my day. Do you ever feel like it just doesn't even matter at this point how I got like this? I just feel so bad. I can't seem to find joy in my life anymore. I feel so alone, like nobody cares for me. I'm just so very sad. Why can't I snap out of this?
Well, I'm 48 years old, and I know for a fact that I've been dealing with depression the majority of my life. I believe it stems back from the many, many years in the fire service and the things that I've been subjected to, visual, audio, sights and smells and all of that stuff that you wish you could just kind of push out of your head. I wasn't even sure that I was going down the road of depression. It was more of a guard that I was putting up this whole time. I struggled internally with the reality of things that I saw, and I had to justify that not only to myself, but to my crew. Being a captain, you have to hold your composure in such a way that others won't break down. Obviously, when you see dead children and you see and are a part of scenes that you feel, how is this happening? This is surreal. Of all the days, of all the times, why are you doing CPR on a mother under a Christmas tree? It just seems so unconscionable. However, there was some peace for some reason in reverting back to my faith. I'm proud to have served 20 years in the fire service. I actually was medically, it wasn't my choice to leave. I wanted to continue on, but my body could no longer do that. And I thought I was good, good from that. And many things started happening, starting with, a divorce. It's hard to be a spouse to somebody who is trying to hold back a lot of those emotions that they're dealing with. But, I'd say going through a divorce, the loss of my house, the loss of my career, things just kept happening. In the midst of all of that, I'm going deeper and deeper in, to my faith. I ended up moving back home. I had a lot of guilt and shame about, the divorce, and carried that. But looking back at it, I feel it was so purpose-driven, and I ended up moving back, in with my parents. I was kind of doing double duty. I was serving at home. That was my life. And I was also, pressing in hard with my discipleship group. And it was at that point that there was almost a specific time that I just, everything was caving in, and I literally asked God, how are you going to use this? I'm not really being a great example of a Christian while I'm being incredibly depressed and anxious. And I knew the scriptures well enough to know exactly where in Philippians to flip to. And, that kept playing over and over in my head of be anxious for nothing and don't be anxious, and the many scriptures that refer to that. And I just thought, how can I be used? I don't understand why I'm feeling this way. And what's strange is I truly felt that it was a sin. I was feeling as if it was a sin to be suffering from, anxiety and depression. After spending so much time in the darkness and crying out to God and feeling like there was not any answers coming, and I was not being removed from the situation, and it appeared to be getting even darker and more lonely, I was given an assignment by my discipler and mentor, and part of that assignment was to go serve. I ended up in a church, a tiny little church. I went with my grandmother when I was 8 or 9 years old, and walked in and had an interview with the pastor. He was a very nice guy. We talked for about an hour. I don't even know if depression ever came up during the whole thing, but I know the Holy Spirit was working because he was taking notes as we were chatting, and we were done. I thought I was going to end up painting his church or serving there or something. That's not how it happened. He handed me a piece of paper, and he said, this is where I want you to go. It starts tonight, 7 o'clock. I think it'd be a good place for you to go serve. And I looked at the piece of paper, and it was a Depression Bipolar Support Alliance. I kind of had to laugh right there. I'm like, how does this guy know this? So I ended up going there to serve. Little did I know I was going to be served. What I got and what I witnessed was a lot of people being transparent, amazing transparent. I've said to my brothers, even in my discipleship group, it's funny, we call some of the things that we do as believers, accountability partners, etc., transparency. We talk about them. I said it would be a really good lesson for every member of the church to see what transparency looks like. It's to stand in a corner of one of these groups. When people are talking about taking their own lives, and they're weeping out and asking if anyone else in the room has felt like this, and what have they done to avoid it? That's real transparency. My jaw hit the table. And in that transparency, it was very healing for myself, amazingly healing. Over the last 9 months, it's been a very, very interesting ride, to say the least. I don't know how to categorize exactly where I am, just to be real and to be honest. I know that Jesus has the power to heal this, remove this, because he's removed many other things in my life, many vices, many things that I suffered with, and he's taken them immediately away. So do I believe that he can and has the ability to overnight make this go away forever, never to be revisited again? Yes. Has that happened to me specifically? No. All that has happened is that he's giving me amazing hope in the reason why I have suffered and have been allowed to suffer. This is to help other people through it. My name is Marcus, and my hope is in Christ.
There's a true comfort in knowing that the God of the universe, the God who created all things, who created all people, created and loves me. And he didn't just mass produce me with everyone else like a robot in some factory. Genesis 2 describes how God formed man with his very hands from the dirt of the ground. And then he breathed his holy breath into his lungs and gave him life. All the rest of creation was formed with a simple say-so from God. But when it came to creating man, that's us, that's you and me, man and woman, he stopped and he took his time and he made each of us in his own image. Psalm 139:13 says, "For you created me, my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." God went through all of this and made sure to tell me about it, just so that he could show me that he loves me and that he wants to be in a relationship with me and with you. He knows everything about each and every one of us. Jesus even says in Luke 12 that the very hair on our heads are numbered by God. This kind of deep intimacy can only be found in the great love and care of the God who made me as he made you. We can truly say with confidence, along with the writer of Hebrews who states about the Lord, "Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you." So we say with confidence, "The Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me?" Then Paul says in Romans 8:31, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" So the lone fact that God made me with care and love, that brings me hope. But then you add all of these other facts about God's intimate knowledge of me, that he will never leave me alone, that he is here with me, that I have nothing to fear and no one to fear because he is for me. I cannot help but to have hope because of a God who loves me like this. As I put my faith in him, I find that he is truly trustworthy to bring me through any circumstance that I find myself in. I read a quote one time that says, "The world is changed with the grandeur of God." And if I can only take the time to realize God and his amazing power and his love in my life, my perspective will change. And I will no longer believe that I am alone in this world. My life has worth because God is always with me and he loves me deeply. My hope is in him, and that brings joy to my heart.